I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV, episode number 152. Coming to you from Alter Ego Comics in beautiful Lima, Ohio, where it's very cold still. Spring, it would be nice to see you soon. And bring some warmer weather and no more snow. Another great batch of comics this week. We're going to kick things off with Forever Evil, issue number 6. This is number 6 of 7 by Jeff Johns and David Finch, DC's big event book that's been dominating the DC Universe for the past several months and preventing any of the other books from moving forward until after this is over. But it's been really solid, and it's been what most DC fans have been excited about month in, month out at the shop. We're almost to the end. The cover of the book says Nightwing's Last Stand, so interpret that as you may. There have been rumors floating around that Dan DiDio, co-publisher of DC Comics, has been trying to off Nightwing for a long time.
Since Infinite Crisis,
Since Infinite Crisis, that's right. And he may get his wish. I don't know. You'll have to pick up the book to check it out. And who knows what's going to happen. All I know is that it was a lot of fun. Lots of stuff happens. We start to see the bad guys' plan start to crumble, as well as some of the bad guys start to crumble. So, the crime syndicate from another Earth has invaded our Earth, and of course they are the doppelgangers for our Justice League, so they quickly took out our Justice League for the most part. One of the most interesting aspects about this is that Batman has teamed up with a bunch of villains led by Lex Luthor to overthrow the crime syndicate. So that in and of itself is a reason to pick up the book. David Finch is really doing a great job on the artwork. Jeff Johns, of course, is a great storyteller, so there's no reason not to like this book. I'm just bringing it up because we're almost to the end, and again, this is where it gets real.
For reals. Next up this week, we've got Batman Superman Annual Number 1, written by Greg Pak, art by Jay Lee, with an assist by Kenneth Rockefort. I really like this issue. I was effusive about this issue when I came in. Basically, it picks up story elements from the second arc with where Mongol was trying to attack the planet Earth, and he was beaten back by Batman and Superman and imprisoned in the negative zone. Well, it turns out Warworld, Mongol's home planet, has come looking to crown a new leader and possibly get some payback on behalf of Earth. So you've got Batman and Superman working with Mongol's son to try and prevent Earth from being destroyed by Warworld. And it's just really great. They each have to assemble kind of their own team. So you've got Steel and Supergirl and Batgirl and Red Robin in it. But where this book really shines is the artwork. It's the Jay Lee art is amazing. This page right here, how awesome is that page? I submit that page is infinitely awesome. And that is all you need to know.
And I'm so proud of Josh, because when he first started reading comics, I don't even think he looked at the art. He was just reading the words on the page. I would talk about artists, he wouldn't know what I was talking about, and now he has become such a connoisseur of Jay Lee's artwork that when we came into work this morning, the first thing he did was show me the page that was just highlighted. You've come a long way, sir. My pick of the week this week is Starlight number 1 by Mark Millar and Goran Parlov. This is the beginning of the Millarverse over at Image Comics. And anyone who names a universe after themselves has to have a good idea of what he's doing, right? So, this book it's not typical Mark Millar. It's very sentimental. And I take that back. He's done other stuff that's been sentimental, most notably Marvel 1985, which was just kind of a love story to Marvel Comics in 1985. And it's one of the reasons why I really like it. But Starlight is an homage to Flash Gordon, to John Carter of Mars. It's been likened to Buzz Lightyear meets Unforgiven. So, with one issue out, it's kind of hard to say whether that's going to ring true, but the first issue kind of sort of does. We've got a character who is very much a Mr. Incredible analog, who is fondly remembering his glory days, fighting on another planet, which ties in the John Carter aspect. He's a test pilot. He ends up transported to another universe. There's the Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers stuff. Transported to another planet, to another universe, and he does a lot of cool stuff there, and then he ends up back on Earth, and nobody believes him. Well, unfortunately, and really the emotional core of this book is that his wife has recently passed away, and that's why he's kind of just going through the motions in his day-to-day life and fondly remembering the past. until we get to the end, and then something happens. Actually, something happens throughout the whole book. It's just really solid. Parlov's artwork is excellent. Really fits the story very well. Miller, love him or hate him, and I tend to love him more than hate him. He does a lot of good stuff, and he's an excellent writer, and I think that this is a shining example of his writing at its best. That's why it's called Starlight, because it's a shining example. But if you enjoy Flash Gordon, John Carter of Mars, Buzz Lightyear, Unforgiven, or Buck Rogers, this is for you.
If you enjoy anything ever.
Yes.
All right, we've got issue 2 of Loki, Agent of Asgard, written by Ewing with art by Garbanzo. And this was very fun. Functionally, the way this issue is set up is you have Loki going speed dating, which in and of itself is a wonderful premise. But we also get some flashbacks involving another Asgardian character from Marvel continuity, whose name eludes me at the moment.
Lorelei.
Oh, just like in Gilmore Girls.
Sister of the Enchantress.
Yes, younger sister of Judy, the Enchantress. Judy?
It's not Judy.
Oh, no, June. Oh, that's DC's Enchantress, my bad. June Moon is the Enchantress in DC's universe, sorry.
For the three of you left watching.
Loki, Agent of Asgard, lots of fun, hip references. We get some nods to continuity, and we get a heist, and we get cool banter, and we get everything you wanted in a book this week. In Loki,
it's a great follow-up to the first issue, which we both thoroughly enjoyed as well.
It is sold out now, but there will be some more copies of this first issue coming back in second printing in Week and a Change.
Week and a Change. All right. Another new number 1 from Marvel. Magneto, number 1 by Cullen Bunn. Artwork by...
There's no credits in this
Walta.
book.
That is the last name of
Walta?
the artiste. There we go. It's on the last page. Gabriel Hernandez Walta. Set in current continuity, Magneto is...
like all other Marvel heroes, going to California.
Yes. Heading out west. Texas tea. Black gold. He is the avenger of mutants. He is trying to put the screws to the mutant-hating groups that are killing his people. He basically, I don't know what else to say about this book. I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be talking about it if I didn't like it. But
well, it's neat to see. Because it's not Magneto. It's not. I'm going to take over the moon-based Magneto.
It's not supervillain Magneto. It's protector of mutantdom Magneto, and he's not flying around. He doesn't have his helmet for the majority of the book. He talks about how people. Yeah, his powers aren't. He's not at full power. He talks about how people don't usually recognize him without the helmet, so he's able to waltz into a police station and interrogate a prisoner. Bunn surprises me frequently. Some of his stuff I just really don't care for, and some of his stuff I really, really enjoy. And this falls into the latter category. So Magneto, if you're an X-Men fan, this is a no-brainer. If you're looking for kind of a... I throw this term around a lot, but street level. If you're looking for street level Magneto, he's the only recognizable character in this. We don't have any other heroes or villains from the Marvel Universe. He's on a mission to avenge mutants. So there you
go. Next up, a new number 1 from Dark Horse, Vale, written by Greg Rucka with art by Tony Faggiola. And it was good.
Is that a dish at the Olive Garden?
It's Faggiola?
Yes.
Vale I have no idea what this book's about. I read the issue, and it's not clear. It's one of those kind of out of left field. You've got a woman who appears to be emotionally or psychologically traumatized, who's in the sewers with rats and stuff, who doesn't seem to cognize the way normal people do. And she just shows up naked on the street, and interesting things ensue. You've got some people want to take advantage of her, some people step up to try and protect her. There's an interesting human level interaction in the book, and it's just really bizarre. And it's bizarre in a way that makes me really want to read the next issue and find out where it's going. From somebody else, I might not have recommended this book. I might say, oh, it's just weird, skip it. But from Greg Rucka, I know he has the talent and the background and the history to knock this out of the park. So I'm sure he's setting up something that's going to be great.
Yeah, Rucka is known for writing strong female protagonists, so that's the hook with this one. It's Greg Rucka writing another strong female protagonist, but this one we don't get to know too much about in the first issue.
Yeah.
Another first issue. Surprise, that's all we're going to talk about from now on, because there are so many coming down the pipeline. Moon Knight, #1. This is written by Warren Ellis, of all people, and Declan Shalvey provides the artwork. Looks great, reads great, tastes great, less filling. Great Moon Knight story. Moon Knight, I have a soft spot for Moon Knight because I grew up reading the Mark Spector Moon Knight series in the late 80s, early 90s. Checked out some of the Doug Mensch and Bill Sienkiewicz stuff from the late 70s, early 80s. And the characters just kind of intrigued me. He's been an Avenger, he's been a vigilante, he's got multiple personality disorder. And this version of Moon Knight is very cool. He's actually assisting the police on an investigation. He's got some connection to the lead detective, who basically tells the beat cops, this is Mr. Knight. He's going to be helping us with the investigation. And he's ditched the cowl and cape, and is just going with like a white mask over his face. It's very interesting. He's wearing a white suit, so he's wearing a suit and a tie. It's very weird, but weird in a good way. This, again, is, I think, something... Marvel is really making an effort, I think, to tell superhero stories that are not overtly superhero stories. They're doing that with Hawkeye, they're doing that with She-Hulk, they're doing that to some degree with Loki, and now we're seeing that with Moon Knight. So it's again, a kind of street level. Last year, the word was awesome. This year, the phrase is street level. And I really enjoyed it. The ending was kind of abrupt. I don't know if I was missing pages or something, but the ending was a little abrupt. Other than that, I really dug it. And another interesting thing, they're taking a cue from Brian K. Vaughan's Saga, and the letters to the Moon Knight book must be handwritten and sent in, so you cannot send emails to the letter page. You can't even send a typed letter. It has to be handwritten. So there you go. We are regressing during the digital age.
Next up, we've got issue 1 of Wolverine and the X-Men. Hooray! Written by Jason Latour with art by Muhammad Asrar.
I think it's Mahmoud.
Mahmoud? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I did put an extra little one there. My mistake. And this picks up where Wolverine and the X-Men left off. If you didn't read last week's issue, well, you should have. But several members of the Wolverine student body were graduated out of the program, and the school goes on summer break. And this picks up following the people who were left behind, the teachers who were working with people who either needed more work in the summer or had nowhere else to go, so they're year-round residents of the Wolverine school. We get introduced to some new people. We see some past students coming back as staff or assistant staff. And we've got, of course, Wolverine running off in his own book, Depowered, so he's not actually in here, I don't believe. He's in flashbacks and future flashes.
He's in recruiting Phantom X.
Oh, yeah. As Patch.
Yeah.
Gotta love Patch. So we've got Wolverine and the X-Men, more of the book you loved last week, except now it's got a new number and a new creative team.
Yeah, there's that. All right, the public service announcement of the week is Walking Dead Volume 20 is available now. This is the first part of All Out War, which is the massive undertaking over at Image Comics and from Robert Kirkman and Charlie Adlard, which is a 12-part? Yeah, 6 months, 12 parts, big giant story going over in Walking Dead. So we know many of our viewers, and I'm assuming, well, many of our local customers and many of our viewers, I assume, are reading Walking Dead in graphic novel format. So heads up, Volume 20 is out. Come pick it up. Go pick it up at your local comic book store. All right, this week, with the release of Magneto, we decided to do our top 5 Marvel villains of all time. And we haven't put much thought into it. We decided we're just going to kind of snap our fingers.
It's not that we didn't put thought into it. We thought that with a broad idea like that, it would be more interesting to actually talk it out.
Yes,
for your benefit.
There is no list.
So we look dumber, basically. That's what we were going for.
Yes. So
first up, let's define what we're calling a villain. Would you consider Galactus and Phoenix?
I thought about Galactus, and I will discount him because
he's just acting by his imperative.
Correct.
So Dark Phoenix would fall under the same purview as a force of destruction.
Yes, Dark Phoenix would also fall under that. So someone who makes a conscious decision to do evil.
And next is, how are we defining best? As in present in the most great stories, or most effective as a villain?
I think any way you want to define it.
Okay.
That's fine. Because there are many Marvel villains of the past who are no longer either relevant or around.
Mm-hmm.
If we would have done this 30 years ago, the list would look completely different than what we've got now, which is not even a list because it's just in our heads. So I'll kick things off with the Red Skull. I think the Red Skull, he's been around forever.
Mm-hmm.
He's died. He's been reborn. He's got kids. He's doing all this other crazy stuff. He started as just a Captain America villain and quickly became a villain that could take on everybody, as we've seen in Uncanny Avengers, Rick Remender's current book, where the Red Skull has stolen the body of Charles Xavier and taken his brain out and somehow transplanted it into his own head, so he's got Xavier's powers.
He's like the Frankenstein, because isn't his body a clone body of Captain America?
Yeah. Well, and then in Brubaker's run where he came back, it was like the spirit of the Red Skull was inhabiting, a wealthy businessman who, and the Cosmic Cube was involved. I just remember, I mean, of course, we had the Red Skull in the 40s when Captain America first hit the scene. Constant presence in Captain America, but then during Acts of Vengeance, which was a Marvel event back in the mid to late 1980s, the Red Skull was featured prominently as well. So I just think, he's a Nazi. He's evil incarnate.
Okay. Which hence the subtitle of the last Red Skull series, Incarnate.
I'm a Nazi.
I'm a Nazi. I'm evil.
I'm not.
Red Skull never even crossed my mind. I would have gone to one dimension.
Well, who's
I got to go with Dr. Doom. He's been around since the early days of Fantastic Four, and he's a sort of tragic villain. He's really one of the finest people in the Marvel Universe. Tony Stark or Reed Richards is the smartest guy in the Marvel Universe, and Dr. Doom is the second smartest. Doctor Strange is the most magical guy in the Marvel Universe. He's dreamy. And the second most powerful mystic is Doctor Doom. He has technology, he has magic, he controls his own nation, he's driven by demons of his mother and him being abused as a child and being persecuted for being Romani, and then his mother selling the soul to the demon, and he's scarred when he's trying to do it, and it's just really compelling. He's a very human villain, but at the same time, he's not likable at all. Doom is an arrogant jerk, but he's very forceful and very controlling, and he's fought everyone in the Marvel Universe, in some cases to a standstill. He did, however, once lose to Squirrel Girl, so lose some points there. But yeah, Doctor Doom would be my first pick for.
All right. Well, that's fair. That's definitely, he is a bad guy, and he's done a lot of bad things, and he's taken on many Marvel heroes, not just the Fantastic Four. I'm looking at our Marvel trade section, or part of our Marvel trade section back here for inspiration, because there are several directions that we could go in here. I'm going to go with
Loki. Dun, dun,
no,
dun.
You know what? I'm going to go with, that was a guest appearance by Alex in the background there. I'm going to go with...
He doesn't actually know we're shooting a store. He just walks around shouting Loki.
I'm going to go with the Kingpin.
Excellent choice. He would have made my list as well.
The Kingpin of crime started as a Spider-Man villain, and this is Wilson Fisk. He is just a bad guy. Mm-hmm. He's a bad guy. He's Lex Luthor. He's a bad guy disguised as a businessman who will take anyone out, including members of his own family, and in his lust for power and his lust for control. And he's taken on lots of Spidey friends and Spider-Man himself, and then got into it with Daredevil, and made his life a living hell a number of times. He's just a classic bad guy. I mean, he doesn't necessarily have any powers or abilities. He just is, deformedly big. And I love those... the old panels that John Romita would do, where the Kingpin's taking like jujitsu classes or something, and he's wearing a gi.
He's wearing a diaper.
Yeah.
And he's like 3/4 of the panel is the Kingpin, and he's punching through things.
Yes. So yeah, he will take out anyone that gets in his way. Mm-hmm. He enjoys causing people pain and wants to control everything.
Yeah, no, and the thing about Wilson Fisk is, even more than Lex Luthor, he's a realistic... I mean, there are Kingpins. I mean, there's nothing about him that's super...
Name.
Right.
There are...
He's a very real threat to our world and the Marvel world.
Yeah.
So, no, I totally get
our
that.
world. He exists.
All right, I'm going to throw one out there. If you don't like it, you just send it right back. I'm going to say Scarlet Witch. Name one other person who at one time killed 4 acting Avengers, including 2 very important ones, Hawkeye and Vision. She nearly committed genocide, destroying the mutant race. She's warped reality to serve her family and her own personal needs. She's done more harm to the Marvel Universe than Doctor Doom has, certainly. Probably more than Kingpin.
I can't argue with anything that you've said, but she's not a clear-cut villain.
Okay.
You know, she was an Avenger. She is an Avenger. She's acted heroic for a long time, and then she went crazy. And
Okay, what about Norman Osborn? He acted as a Thunderbolt. He did good things. He tried to run S.H.I.E.L.D., but he is crazy and did evil things while crazy. So you're saying Norman Osborn would be a villain, but Scarlet Witch is not?
That was a tough one. I was thinking about that one. I think many people associate the Green Goblin as Spider-Man's archenemy. If you had to pick one villain as Spider-Man's mortal enemy, it would be Norman Osborn, Green Goblin.
Probably.
But in the beginning, he was crazy. You know, he inflicted... He was testing the formula on himself, and he went nuts. And you know, in the beginning, he couldn't remember what happened when he was the Green Goblin.
Much like the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, he was not a villain, by the way.
Right, but he lost control and was doing things.
Yes. But I think over the years, Norman Osborn has just become a bad guy.
Oh yeah, no question about that.
He's aware of these things. So I don't know. I definitely can see where you're coming from on that. I think the Scarlet Witch, as you said, has taken out a number of Avengers that have now all mysteriously come back to life.
Except Jack of Hearts. Tough break, buddy.
Ooh, Jack of Hearts. We miss you. So is that's your entry into
I'll go with Norman Osborn because setting aside his Spider-Man cred, during Siege, he was essentially an enemy to the whole Marvel Universe. And one of my favorite Marvel comics of the last 10 years, World's Most Wanted, is about him methodically hunting down Tony Stark, which actually was on our fraction list last week for great comics. So yeah,
I would say
Norman Osborn crazy.
You know, Norman Osborn during that time period was very much like the Kingpin, in that he was putting on a good face as the leader of Hammer and trying to restore order to a disordered world. But at the same time, behind all of it, he was just a bad guy, trying to do bad stuff. All right, so we need one more. We need one more to round out our top 5.
Well, we could go Kang the Conqueror, but he sucks. We could go Thanos, but he doesn't actually have a personality. He just loves death.
I was going to go with Apocalypse, actually.
Okay.
As I was thinking about this earlier.
Explain how.
I don't know.
I mean, he's a bad guy. I can't argue
don't know
that.
that much about Apocalypse. He's from the past and the future. What is he? He's
ancient Egyptian and
He's the first mutant, or one of the first mutants.
Again, depending on which continuity we're working with, yeah.
Yeah. He reshaped the world during Age of Apocalypse.
But he didn't actually do that.
Yeah,
that was because Xavier was killed, and he just took power in a world without Xavier.
Yeah.
He didn't actually alter the reality himself.
I don't know. Maybe that one...
Apocalypse is a good one. Well, are we missing more personal villains? Juggernaut or Venom? They're not really of the scope we're talking about.
That's the thing. Juggernaut and Venom have both been heroes. Juggernaut was a member of the X-Men for a while. Venom is basically, depending on who's wearing the suit, Venom takes on the personality.
Well, the symbiote,
right. So Venom has been a vigilante. Venom has been a clear-cut villain in the case of Peter Parker being possessed by the symbiote. And then, right now, Flash Thompson is an Avenger as Venom. So, I don't know. That's a tough one. I think that's... And I have to kind of fault Marvel, I think, for blurring the lines there. When we were younger...
Well, I don't know if that's a fault.
Well, bad guys were bad and good guys were good, and then there was that period in the mid to late 80s where the lines became blurred, where the Punisher, was very much a vigilante, and Wolverine. You had these anti-heroes. But now you have villains who reforms. I was thinking of Sabretooth as well. Sabretooth to me just isn't that interesting.
Right,
he's an evil guy, but he's just boring.
Well, he's only interesting in the effect that he has on Wolverine, hunting down all the women he loves and killing them. In a similar way, Doc Ock, despite all of the character stuff he's gotten in Superior Spider-Man, is really not a fundamentally interesting character.
Yeah.
He's just interesting.
Maybe somebody like the Mandarin, again, who is he's clearly a bad guy.
No arguments
but
there.
Again, disguised as a businessman, and depending on which origin of the Mandarin and which incarnation.
So apparently we hate businessmen based on this list.
Business is bad. Unless it's good.
I don't like the Mandarin. Well, we haven't talked about Magneto.
We did. No, we didn't.
No, we talked about the book, and I mentioned him.
Well, I thought about Loki, too. I mean,
Loki is a strong choice. Loki, again, just like the Phoenix, is acting according to his... I mean, he's a god of mischief. he's changing things. He's not necessarily pursuing evil so much as it's his job to sow chaos.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of Siege, he saved, not Siege, at the end of Fear itself, he helped kill the Serpent and saved the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
But no, Loki would be the archetypical. I mean, he formed the Avengers not intentionally. He's not a very good villain. He keeps failing.
Yeah, so there you go. We got like 4 strong villains and a bunch of also-rans, a bunch of people that could be,
let's see,
could fill that 5th slot.
There's probably somebody really obvious we're not thinking
I know.
of. But
I'm looking at the Marvel Comics section, and this is why we usually plan for these lists.
Back and forth here. Yeah. Darth Vader. Marvel published those comics for a while.
Yes, that is it. Well, you know what? We'll leave it to you, faithful viewers. Give us your top 5 Marvel villains. Leave those in the comments below, and then we'll pick one that I'm sure there's someone that we're just forgetting about who is clearly a great villain in the Marvel Universe. And we're forgetting about it. So that's it. Kind of a half-assed top 5 list this week.
No, this is audience participation. You come up with some stuff, and we'll look it over and decide who's worthy.
Yeah. Are you worthy? So that's it. Another week of comics. We'll see you next time. Thanks for the comments, by the way. You guys are leaving some great comments and great suggestions for top 5 lists, so we appreciate you watching. Share it with your friends and family and other people that love comics. We'll see you next week.